Tell me when you're ready. I can talk close all day.
Go ahead.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and call the 5 o'clock meeting to order for Public Works, October 28th. A couple more days until Halloween. I trust everybody's got their candy and they are ready to rock. Unlike me, I got to go get it tomorrow. I think I have to go to one of our establishments in Hendersonville and pick some up. Anyway, we have an acceptance of the agenda. If there's no objection or any additions or deletions, we'll just go ahead and dispense and order it. We'll move on down to the minutes. I will say before the actual meeting, Mr. Martin is not, Alderman Martin, Mike Martin is not here this evening. And so I will be voting on issues as I normally do, but I'll be either the motion, I'll be the second instead of the motion maker. Unless there's a real serious issue that is, well, issues are serious when it comes to public works, but you get my drift on that. So I'll need a motion for the minutes.
So moved.
Can I second that? There's been a proper motion, a proper second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the minutes, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, it passes unanimously. On to the citizens' comments. We have, all right, John, you're the only one that signed up, and I think we even asked, and we asked her, and she declined. And
Well, maybe you should speak for her, because I feel guilty when a lady is waiting.
well, I appreciate that, and I respect that, because I was raised the same way. But I have her down, and
Okay.
she's ready to do it, and she knows, what we're doing.
Okay.
So we'll
Yeah.
the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, appreciate it. The light's still there. As the leaves fall, it is getting brighter and brighter in my house. Ultimately, it comes down to this. I stated I didn't want that thing put there
Right.
with the adjustments. It's no longer a street light. It is a yard light at this point. If this was truly what the city policy is inside the same subdivision at the corner of Arrowhead and Drake's Creek, which is a far busier road, there's no light there. And then that's right, there's no light there. So ultimately, it comes down to this. Y'all just stuck a. It's not. There's no reason for it at all. If it is to help the police locate where a street is, it is probably the worst way to do it, because the overhead light will actually prevent the police officer from actually seeing the street sign.
Okay.
There's a better way of locating intersections. The fire department does something similar with finding fire hydrants. They put out what's called a Smurf. It's a little blue reflector that you stick down in the road. You stick a reflector in the road, and that notifies you. Now, the rumor is one of the reasons why we got the stoplights was because the police department couldn't find Flint, which I'd be surprised if that's the case, because I'm sure the officers are better trained than that. Although I did see one of them trying to find Flint, and he actually turned around in it. But ultimately, there's better ways of identifying intersections, and it's affecting the security cameras at my house at this point, which has caused other issues at this point. Because now the Amazon guy can walk up to my front porch and drop off stuff, and if it's after dusk, that security camera can't read it at all. And that happens there. I have a blind spot from dusk until significantly into dawn because of it. And I'm sure somebody spoke to, if we take the light down, that's a liability issue. If something happens in my security blind spot, that's a liability issue as well. Basically, when the survey went out, the majority of the people who called in stated they didn't want it. And then the young man who answered the phone calls basically assured us that he didn't think the project was going to go through. So I'm sure word got out in the neighborhood that that was the case, so nobody followed through because hey, somebody at the city said this project's not going to happen. The other part of it is in the lower part of the neighborhood on Arrowhead, two of the street lights aren't even pointed on the road. They're actually overhanging two people's driveways. In a similar situation, the light is angled towards the street, but it's also angled between two people's driveways. And as a taxpayer, I'm not exactly pleased with the thought of paying for a couple of people's nightlights. And I definitely don't want my tax dollars being spent on something that I didn't want.
Okay.
And again, this is not upset with any of y'all. It just
No,
feels like
no,
everybody is
that's
like
why we-
wanted. It's
yeah,
like,
that's why
oh,
we
it's
want
their
you-
fault. It's their fault. It's,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
And
we
I'm
don't
sure
do that.
none of y'all would want this thing in your yard.
I will say this. I know that Alderman Martin had some questions that he wanted to discuss about it, because I think all of us have, or at least he and I, we went separately, but we went out there and observed it. But he's not here, so and I know that he had some issues with this, and wanted to discuss it. So unfortunately, the only thing I can tell you, since he is not here,
Right.
but and I take responsibility for that, to do what I'm getting ready to do, is I'm going to have to put this on the agenda for next time to discuss it, because he's obviously not here.
I know.
And if I would have known that that he wasn't going to be here earlier, this month, we probably could have arranged something for him. We could have had a special call meeting or something like that. But I didn't know this,
Yeah.
So-
I mean, I've dealt with this for like a little over 60 days at this point.
Yeah, and I hate to tell you that, but that's just the reality of
I
it.
mean, that's
Yeah.
life. Okay.
And I'm sorry. And because, one of the things that I think that Alderman Robertson and I do believe is we don't like the way slow government is, but this is a prime example of why.
Yeah, definitely feeling like I'm getting slow rolled at this
Yeah.
point.
And I know you feel that way, but that's why I wanted to tell you right up front what it was going to be.
Well, I appreciate that.
But we're not.
So when's the next meeting?
The next one will be at the end of, well, we don't know, because
Christmas.
Christmas is coming. But I'll tell you what, do we have your phone number that we can call him?
I think it's on all the emails.
Okay.
that-
I was going to say, why don't you just put it down right
Yeah,
there?
sure.
And then that way we can call you. I'll even call you, or somebody will, to let you know when that is. Because I know we've got some meetings that are, I think for November, are canceled because of what, Thanksgiving?
We have it November 18th.
November 18th, okay. We might be meeting at our normal for that, since it's the 18th. Thank you. But in the meantime, within the next, we'll find out and promise you, there'll be no decision made until you're here, and then we'll figure it out, and then we'll see what his questions were. But that's all that I really can say, because he's not here to
Fair enough.
discuss it, and I'm just sorry. But I'd rather have you
Right.
know firsthand right now. That's why I didn't say anything, because he's not here.
Right.
But I know he has several questions on it. So
Okay.
I thank you again for coming, and again, I apologize, but that's just the way this blasted
Yep.
government works.
I get it. Can I stick around for a little bit more? I love hearing this.
You
stuff.
sure can. I don't. You can stay here all the way through it. It's
Probably
fine.
not that long.
But yeah, but if you do get bored, if it's that way, you can stick around and.
Oh no, this stuff is fascinating. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, no, that I know the feeling more than you realize. Okay, we're going to go on with. There's no citizens' comments other than that. Thank you for coming for tonight. We usually have two more, but they're not here tonight. I don't know where they went, or they may not be coming tonight, two other aldermen, but okay, let's go on. Since there's no citizens' comments, we have ordinances and resolutions. We've got a resolution 2025-40 that is sponsored by our good friend Alderman Evans, who is here tonight. And it's on roads acceptance of streets on Durham Farms, Phase 3, 31, and Phase 4, Section 33, 34 in Hendersonville, Tennessee. I need a motion.
So moved.
All right, not properly second, so there's been a proper motion, proper second. Any further discussion on the streets in Durham Farms? And I guess assume you've looked at them and they're all complete.
Yep, I walked them and they look good.
Okay, so you walked them and they look good. Good deal. Like to hear that. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Is everybody ready to vote? All in favor of Resolution 2025-40, which is a resolution accepting the dedication of the streets in Durham Farms, Phase 3, Section 31, Phase 4, Section 33 and 34 in Hendersonville, Sumner County, Tennessee, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. Okay. Then we have on number 2 is a resolution sponsored by Alderman Evans, was 2025-41, a resolution accepting the dedication of the completed streets of Anderson Point in Hendersonville, Sumner County, Tennessee.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. There's a proper motion and second. Any further discussion on the motion?
Looks good.
Looks good. Vote. Looks good. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. Hearing any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Is everybody ready to vote? All in favor of Resolution 2025-41, which is a resolution accepting the dedication of the completed streets of Anderson Point in Hendersonville, Sumner County, Tennessee, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. Okay. Then we have one more, and I don't know. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Where the mayor is, I thought he told me that if he didn't have something he was involved with, that he wanted to say something about this, but we'll leave that to you, I guess, if we have any discussion on it.
Sure.
This is by Mayor Clary with Resolution 2025-42, was a resolution to approve the pavement management plan for the city of Hendersonville. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second. Okay, discussion. Sarah.
Yeah, so staff's put this together to document the methodologies with which we establish the annual paving plan and other maintenance treatments that we utilize, and to document the proposed annual budget for paving and maintenance for our roadway, and in an effort to continually improve the overall condition of our pavements within Hendersonville.
All right. Mayor, do you have anything to say?
I just heard you say negative things about me.
I did. I just said I wanted to wait until you got here.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Sure.
Like Chris said, this is a way for us to prolong the life of our roads and actually extend the funds we have for roads. So it's going to be very helpful.
All right. Eddie,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
What is the minimum that we need to pay to get the discount with our contract?
So there's an annual escalator on that.
I'm sure your numbers take that into account.
They do. Yes. Oh, that. Well,
So what this is, if we pay a certain amount, they're going to give us a little bonus. They're going to pay more, correct?
yes. We get to utilize a bracket for higher volume that costs a little bit less. So it is, yeah, it's a discount. And so the minimum for this fiscal year is 4 million, just over 4 million. And then there's a 3% escalator on that every year.
Okay. So of this amount, the 26 budget, right at 7 million, how much of that is state street aid from the state?
I believe we have roughly 1 million in there from the state.
Just 1 million?
That includes the PIP funds, right, too?
No, state street aid is
No.
separate.
As far as the 6.9.
Yes. That's right.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't write, I was in the process of writing when it went 4 to 7 million. What are we doing it now this year, 4 million? Is it that we're spending?
The total budgeted amount is roughly 6.9 million.
Okay, so that's 7, and then, but we've spent what? Do,
I don't have that number tonight. The 4 million is based on the minimum effort, that the minimum amount that we have to spend with
Oh,
Rogers Group to get the discount.
I got you, okay, all right, okay, got you. So we got 7 in the budget, State Street aid is $1 million. And, okay, that's good.
I know when I first was elected, that's what I heard, complaints on paving. And that they're getting fewer and fewer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that
by
means,
far.
that means our investment is paying off,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, because I think Eddie's exactly right. That was, it wasn't drainage years ago, and now with this stormwater drainage program that we have, we've been knocking that out, and that's, I mean, I still get them, but they're practically non-existent now, which I'm, very pleased with. And we still have a few, but then the paving came up, and then under Mayor Clary's administration, we've lowered that considerable amount. Now, we still get paving just because of the wear and tear of the streets and the weather, and you can't stop that. But they're slowly, not as heavy phone calls as we used to get. So that's very good. So we just need to try to keep it going, which we will do that.
So, Sarah, I really think that the sealing of the center line, the sealing, is really paying dividends. When I look at the interstates, most of the bad parts are at that seam.
Yeah.
So are we continuing to do that?
Yes.
Continuing to seal the seams
Yes.
on the pavement?
As part of what's proposed in here, we would be prioritizing roadways every year to do some crack sealing, which is what that would be.
So this budget is not only paving, but it's repair, it's patches, it's that sealing of the seams and all of that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
This would be the pavement management.
Okay.
So it would be maintenance, rejuvenation, as well as paving.
Strategic plan, right?
Yes, sir.
So one of the ways Sarah explained this to me months ago was that essentially we're putting sort of a sunscreen on our roads, and it's helping to prolong them, because the heat is one thing, the number of times the tires go over them is another thing, and then the weight of the vehicles is another thing. But if we can reduce the heat as it impacts those roads, we will prolong this.
I want to thank the staff and the mayor too for the money that we've spent in paving Creekwood. We've done a great job. We spent a lot of money paving that neighborhood. I think there's just maybe 1 or 2 streets left, and I see that it's in the 26 budget, I believe. So I want to thank the staff for addressing the neighborhoods in the city.
Thank you.
Job well done, Public Works, and the mayor, of course, and I'll see that. Anyway, and we really do appreciate, seriously though, I know we joke a lot in here, but we appreciate the mayor and the staff, and the hard, and especially in Public Works, the hard work and efforts that you all do. And I know with us, I know you all might get tired of it, or maybe not, I don't know, but it means a great deal to me, and I appreciate all of you.
Just don't have Trace change his phone number.
Yeah.
I've got him on speed dial.
We know where he lives.
We've been talking about getting him a new phone.
But keep the same number.
Yeah.
I do have a question,
Yes.
if I
Go
may.
ahead. Yeah.
So I was just asking Jesse about the 6.9 for this year. 1 million is the State Street,
Right.
roughly 2 million is the PIP fund, and 3.9 for this year is non-operating, meaning it's coming from reserves.
Correct.
So it means that we don't really have anything in the operating budget. And so I'm assuming that what this would do is we're going to have to work some magic in finding the funds within the operating, or we're going to keep dipping into the non-operating reserves.
And that's a problem. You're exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And I know that I think we were going to have a conversation about, how we're paying for all this. I do have a question about the 28 budget though, because the other budget years, you're roughly at 6.8, 6.9, but you dipped down to 5.9. What's the reason why we would cut that back $1 million in 1 year when the rest of them are consistent?
So if you look at the list of the streets, the plan actually has the list of the streets. And so each year, based on the age of the street and some other factors, there's a priority list.
Mhm.
And so they're not consistent every single year based
Okay.
on when they were done the previous time. So if you go and look at that list, it has every street section in there. So it's now that list is subject to change.
Sure,
So
sure.
it's obviously a plan. Sarah will take the public works team out, and usually I go as well.
Right.
And we'll assess that. Like we'll put boots on the ground and drive every
Okay.
street. And so we shift those numbers around, but that's our best estimate for what's coming in a couple.
Is that possibly is that the back end of the first round of tip and the paving of the roads and everything, and you're picking it back up again in 29?
We wish. Yeah. It wasn't really determined so much on where a funding source is coming from, but what the pavement condition is. So
Okay.
the goal would be is that so I think what you're getting at is why isn't it the same? It would seem
Yeah.
to be more consistent
Yeah.
as the same. I think once the plan is established, it will be more
consistent.
consistent year over year.
But the minimum we need to do to get the discount from the contractor is around $4 million plus a 3% per annum
Yes.
increase. That's the minimum. We got to find the money from somewhere to
Yes.
at least do that. Okay.
I don't see us ever getting that. I don't think we could. We have 300 miles of roads.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah. So it would just be hard to get there. I mean, unless we did 16 million next year, maybe and I don't see that happening.
Good. Thank you. Good work.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mayor. I don't ever see that happen.
And ideally, we get to the point that every road would get repaved between 8 and 12 years. We have some roads that need every 8 years, and some roads that can go a little bit longer.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully with this paving plan that we've got, that will extend a lot of the roads, longer. Because I firmly believe in that, that is a reality, and I think it's proven us that we're doing the right thing. So,
yeah.
All right. Any other discussion on the on this motion at all? And this will be coming to the board, I guess, when we meet again in 2 weeks?
No, it's
3 weeks.
18th of
Right.
18th.
Yes, it is the 18th. We're not meeting. We just had a discussion about that. That it'll be at, I guess, the next agenda at the board. All right. The resolution is 2025-42, resolution to approve the pavement management plan for the city of Hendersonville. Hearing no further discussion, is everybody ready to vote? All in favor of resolution 2020-25, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. All right, we did our ordinances and resolutions. We're on to other agenda items, and we have 11 basically 11 other items. Let's go with a trash collection update.
Thankfully, not much to report. Again, the misses are still historically low. I would just like to highlight the fact that we have a new dispatcher with Waste Pro who has been incredible. And they've been very proactive in their communications and have really been also very good with getting the crews back out for the misses. Almost every day in the afternoon now I'll look in our tracking system and there will be no open reported misses, which is amazing.
Well, that's really good. I have not had any calls on misses of trash. I mean, usually I get one or two, just because that's the animal that it is, but they've been dead on their trash I appreciate that. And so any discussion on that?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, really,
Yeah.
that a huge thank you, because this time of year, with the cold, it starts getting that way. It's sort of like summer. Sometimes it gets too way hot, but they've done well. So let's just keep our fingers crossed and let them do their magic. All right. Hearing no discussion. Alderman Evans, do you have any discussion on the
No.
trash? Okay. Let's go with the Traffic and Parking Committee. I guess it's dealing with Main Street and Clearview. I saw the paint
Yeah,
there.
looks good.
I saw that.
And they were very appreciative.
Yes, they were.
And I saw that, and the street light at Stop 30. So I'll let you do the A and B and tell us about all that.
Okay. So as far as Main Street and Clearview Circle, as you mentioned, the pavement markings have been installed. If the sign hasn't been installed now, we're still waiting on the delivery. I think that we are still waiting on the sign. So that'll go up, but the pavement markings really, I think, are more impactful. So from our perspective, we would consider that complete.
Okay. And that's on the Clearview, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
And then as far as the street light, I believe you mentioned that we were
already
going to discuss that
Yeah,
next month.
thank you. I don't know where my head was right there,
Yeah, no
so I
problem.
have to look down. My apologies on that. And Mike's question. Okay, if we would put that down at, for our agenda next time, put it on the agenda for next time.
Yes, I'll make a note of that.
Okay. Creekwood subdivision.
So based on our last meeting and the meeting before, we did send out letters to the residents to seek input if they wanted to comment on the potential application of pavement markings for traffic calming. And then also in between those timeframes, one of the residents has provided a petition for pavement markings, but a different alternative. And so based on the responses that we received from our letters, we received 9 total. There were 5 that were in favor and 4 that were against the pavement markings. That's out of 180 people. Now for the petition that was provided for pavement markings, again, it was a little bit different. So what we proposed is 2 10-foot drive lanes with a 4-foot shoulder area, if you will. And so what has been proposed for the petition was 2 9-foot drive lanes, and they were proposing, I think it was 2 4-foot
Yeah.
Sidewalk markings.
sidewalk-ish pedestrian
Right.
walkway, I guess. I almost call it a shoulder, but regardless, based on that, when I tallied what had been provided, there were 88 that were in favor and 92 that we had no response on, which I would count as a no. So
You have the petition.
Okay.
I think I did bring it.
I don't think it's the
I did.
final, but it's the one you gave us last meeting.
It may be the same as what he turned in to me.
Oh, it doesn't have the names.
Yeah, it does.
Does it?
That is, what is the gentleman's, he lives on?
Mr. Little.
Yes, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, okay.
Sarah, what's the recommendation as far as the professionals, your team having 10-foot driving lanes and 1 4-foot versus 2 9 and 2 4s?
We would not recommend
Okay.
the 9-foot drive lanes.
Okay.
Is that a committee recommendation or is that just Public Works?
Public Works, MUTCD, ASHTO. But that we haven't discussed that specifically in traffic and parking because our recommendation was for 10-foot.
Would you take that to the committee
We could.
before our next meeting?
We could. Mhm.
I would like the committees because the committee includes PD
Yes.
and fire department
Mhm.
as well.
Alderman Robertson, are you in favor of the 2 10-foot, 1 4, or are you?
Uh, well, what's the precedent? Do we have neighborhood streets that have the dual markings, pedestrian markings? What's our practice?
We did at Jefferson Drive, we did 2 10-foot drive lanes, and we marked it as a bike lane. And it was a 4-foot bike lane.
But
So,
one,
yes.
but one bike lane.
Not on both sides. That's what I'm asking. Have we done it on both sides of a neighborhood street?
No, we have not. Generally, you don't have sufficient pavement width. And honestly, even if fire and police said that 9-foot marked lanes would be sufficient, I'm not confident there really is sufficient pavement width consistently through the cross sections to allow for that.
Well, I want to get the committee's recommendation. I would like to know what the committee's recommendation.
Okay.
So does TDOT approve a 9-foot roadway?
So I was not familiar with that. I did have our traffic engineer look into that, and he did find an old cross section that TDOT had. The city, it does not, in my opinion, it does not meet current guidance for drive lane widths for public streets in general.
Hmm.
Can I say this?
Yeah.
One of the, I'm just going to be blunt. One of the things that we've heard from this neighborhood is that we're not treating them the same we would as we have other areas. And I think what you're saying, Sarah, is that in other areas, other wards, we've had the same issue and we've gone with 10-foot, 10-foot, 4-foot. And to be consistent and to say this is the way we handle it in all other areas and it's been consistent, I think that's the way we go, and I think that's the way the committee needs to look at it.
Yeah, that's why I asked if there's a precedent.
I do.
I think that's important, but I still want the committee's
Sure.
input as a committee, not just Public Works.
Okay.
But no, I think, well, I want to wait, hold judgment, until I get the report from the committee.
Okay.
But,
Who else is on that committee?
It's police, fire, planning, and public works.
Okay, thanks.
I used to have a CDL and drove some of the school buses for the county. Some of those school buses are 8.5 feet
Yeah.
width. So you're only talking about 3-inch variance. And if they're making a turn, that's a 2-foot swing out of the back end of the bus. So that'd be like,
That's in theory.
and I think the fire trucks are even wider.
that's why I want input
Yeah.
from the safety.
No, I think you're right, Eddie. I think that's the thing to do, the way to approach it, because it really covers, as far as this committee, that's my main
Correct. Right.
concern, is that in the city, it covers, I'm not gonna say it's CYA, but it just covers everybody. And that was a real good question about the precedent, because I was gonna ask that. But if you can put that on for the next, will that give you enough time to visit that other, what's the other committee again? Just traffic and
Traffic and parking.
and parking.
We meet on Friday.
Oh,
That'll
okay,
be,
good. All right.
that'll be good.
That would be good. All right. So, Alderman Evans, we're going to put that again for the agenda for our next meeting.
Okay.
And then we'll be able to find out.
He has also asked for speed humps.
Mm.
So would the committee consider that request as well? I know what the answer's gonna be, but just so that we can,
Yeah, we could definitely can, but with that being the singular access
Yeah.
to that area.
That's gonna be hard
it's
to
going
put a
to be
video
a no.
speed
I
bumps on either.
I agree.
For fire access, that would
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
that would not be a safe condition.
But the survey that Public Works did, there were 5 for it,
Mhm.
and that was a single pedestrian lane, right?
That's right.
5 were for it and 4 were against it.
Yes.
Okay.
Those that were against had some commentary go along with it.
Yeah, I would like to see the survey results.
Okay.
So
Sarah, have you heard back yet anything on the traffic study? Have you heard anything back yet on that? Are you ready to prepare? I mean, to speak on that?
Sure. Yeah. So it was very similar.
Okay.
Which makes sense
Yeah.
because there's no new connectivity, no growth. So it was just barely crossed the threshold for even qualifying for traffic calming, which is 500 vehicles per day. And then the ADT, that was the ADT, I'm sorry. The 85th percentile was 37 miles per hour.
and the previous one was 36, I believe.
Okay.
So close.
Yes, very close.
Mm.
And there was one outliner,
Yeah.
53 miles an hour
Right.
or something.
Yes. Yeah.
You know.
Which is common.
And when you
Almost always
say
in a
it was just beyond the having a discussion about calming
Mm-hmm.
measures, what would be the first step as far as calming measures? The paving of the lines?
Yes, they're the least expensive
Got
and they have proven to be effective in other areas.
And then beyond that, if there's anything else you would do, it would have to, the numbers would need to be higher to warrant a step up of whatever that calming device might be.
Typically, the way we would address that is we would do a follow-up study.
Okay.
If there were still concerns that it hadn't addressed the problem.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That is interesting because I was trying to think here while y'all were talking. I don't know of any, I mean, we've had some traffic, what we've deemed traffic calming, but it's been very small, but it's been effective, small things. But the speed bumps, I don't know that we've ever done that, and I don't think on this particular project that it warrants it. I really don't, but that's just me.
One of the things that my neighbor HOA did on Creek is they purchased solar powered speed limit signs that shows the speed of the car.
Mm-hmm.
And according to a couple of the neighbors that live near that sign, it's worked.
Yeah.
So a lot of our older neighborhoods don't have HOAs. They don't have that ability to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I might be interested in a budget to look at being able to have in our inventory, when it's justified, the placement of those signs under some strict parameters.
Okay.
So if you could, not now, but for the next budget, if you could kind of get a ballpark figure of the cost of solar powered, kind of hate to go down that track, but we got to do what we can to try to control speed in neighborhoods. Creekwood, all of them. I mean, I get complaints from all neighborhoods that people speeding. But in Autumn Creek, these seem to work. And do they work in, they don't work in,
It's a long street. People have short memories. They see it when they get in that oh yeah, I'm going 60.
Yeah.
So no.
okay, thank you.
They have time to pick it up on their way on the backs.
Yeah.
Don't worry, the other side gets more.
Yeah. All right. Any further discussion on that? Hearing Creekwood, we'll move both 7 and 8. We'll move on to facilities assessment plan verbal update on that.
So we have a draft facilities assessment that staff has put together. It details out the 18 facilities that we own and maintain. Historically, the different facilities have been maintained by the individual departments, and so there hasn't, up until this point, there's never been a centralized document, I don't think, that really kind of details all of them and provides some information about each of them. And I mean, the view is similar to the pavement management plan and infrastructure resiliency plan that these and transportation capital improvement plan, this really gives us some vision for what needs to be prioritized moving forward to make sure that we're properly maintaining our facilities and addressing any issues that we have identified. Again, this is a draft. We have, through the compilation of this, have identified an area of need that we'll be adding into the next draft that we bring before you. But
So I have a question. Work conditions and safety
mhm.
is second highest weighted.
Yes,
Why would safety conditions not be the number one weighted issue?
good question. I guess when we were looking at kind of the demands and how things worked out when we were looking at the way things were weighted and what the final rankings would be, what we already knew to be problems. This current way that they're weighted did seem to rank them appropriate, like the one that we know of, Drake's Creek Maintenance Shop, where we had the mold and issues identified, it still was ranked as a very high priority. And part of that is in those facilities where you have some of those other issues, generally they will be our older facilities. And they'll have some of those other contributing factors and the weights that also contribute to being prioritized, I guess is the best answer I could
Yeah,
give.
I know the cart barn at Country Hills,
Mm-hmm.
we moved on that because there was an engineering report said it was dangerous.
Yes.
And the liability, if something would have happened
Mm-hmm.
to an employee out there or a player with that building, then we would be after that report. So I would like for the staff to consider equalizing those two, 30% each. I don't know how you would downgrade one other one, but I just don't think the narrative that safety is the second most important issue for consideration is a good one.
Okay.
So just that's my comment on the ranking criteria.
Okay.
Okay, when we get that another draft, is there gonna be a final, instead of a draft, but a final, report?
Yes, I would imagine we bring this back with a resolution similar to the other plans that we've been putting together.
And do you anticipate that next year, or like in January sometime or something like that?
Potentially November, December, I would think.
I was just thinking, with the holidays, whether, we would have time, but that's fine with me.
It would be good to have it approved, adopted before budget.
Yeah, I was gonna say
mid-year,
that,
maybe.
yeah. Because when do we start looking at budget? I know y'all probably already are getting ready to, with it being November.
Yeah, we'll start looking at mid-year. Typically, we'll start looking at mid-year hard in January because we're we're a month behind on sales tax collection, so we don't get that information until a month after it passes.
Right.
And same with expenses. By the time people bill us and we pay them, we're not showing those expenses until we pay them. So we have to get past the mid-year before we can really look at what our revenues
Okay,
are actually for half of the year and expenses.
all right.
And that was kind of, I think the draft is good and we can tweak it a little bit with rankings. That's rather simple to do. I think the bigger priority for us on this, just like the transportation plan, is, it's great. It looks very professional. Casey did a good job with that. Sarah and her team did a good job, analyzing the buildings. But then the question comes down to how do we fund the improvements? And so I think that's the point of this. This is to introduce you to this. This was the goal of mine to get this done this year. So really hope that we do. But we have to get some direction from the board on how we fund this priority, whether that's through debt whether we set aside funds every year, a percentage of funds, whether we just use fund balance and we take these projects on as needed. But I think that's kind of where we'd want some guidance from this committee on. We have a plan, an assessment,
Right.
but the linchpin is the funding to move on the assessment. And so that's, I think, an important piece of what we put in this policy. Or we just leave it out of the policy and we say, well, as needed, we'll fund these projects. But there's a lot of money wrapped up in these buildings. The police building is, I think, number one on the list. It's a very expensive building to do. Anymore, just a little fire station we did was over $5 million, and the land was donated to us. So the price tag on these buildings is rather significant. It's worth considering how we fund this.
So we're not going to discuss the individual projects here, right? Do you want a discussion on those?
If you have things you would like to discuss, I think that's,
So the police annex building, that's the number one, according to the assessments, correct?
yes.
And is the police annex building a safe building to work in as far as asbestos and all the, I mean, it's an old building, and is it still a safe building?
Our building maintenance staff ranked it as a very high priority as far as work conditions. And I don't know necessarily that was, I don't have notes that was related to air quality. But due to the age of the building and the change in construction standards and things like that, there's a lot that needs to be addressed.
And staff is estimating just to replace the annex is $20 million.
So, yes, I think that the way that was determined was, so it was determined that way because the main police building and the annex both kind of comprise where our police work out of. And so staff reviewed what new police stations we're going for basically in adjacent municipalities, and then based on the square footage, we'll determine the cost based on that.
So this estimate is both buildings, the annex and the main building?
No, the 20 million would just be for the annex,
Okay.
and then the 30 million would be for the other part of the
50
police. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, currently on that annex, we don't use it all. So we have a basement. I mean, it's used for storage. So if we were to just replicate the office space in there, that building size could diminish from from the square footage. We don't necessarily need a working basement. I think, 20 million might get us the whole building, the basement, the attic, the main level, the courtroom, at a very high level.
It's a big wish list.
And I have to think also, like just looking at the police annex building and the repair costs, that's $4 million. You think every year, how much do our employees spend on just fixing things just to make it operational in there? So you get those funds back by not spending that if you replace all this stuff, repair it properly, and not having to fix it every year.
We should also, I guess these costs are estimating building a facility.
Mhm.
But I hope staff is constantly looking at empty commercial buildings in the city that might have an application, instead of building something from the ground up, buy an existing building large enough for all PD and then refitting the inside of it. That might be a cheaper way to go.
Yeah, I think
That's what we did here.
I'm hopeful that that's what kind of the conversation that, we have a facilities assessment. I think that's, we've done a lot of heavy lifting for what we can do, but that direction on, do we want to spend 30, 40, 50 million on a new police building, or would it make more sense to add on, to fix up, maybe to find a vacant building like you're saying, Mr. Robertson, and move over there instead?
Okay, great.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
Uh,
fire station
Like
7, okay, it ranked last. It's the newest
Mm-hmm.
facility stats, replacement cost. Okay, you're just saying if we have to replace the whole building?
Yes,
Okay,
just based on what we know.
okay,
So we spent approximately 6 million.
okay.
Would this committee like us to add maybe a couple of options, you know, for financing, what a set aside would look like? You know, if debt financing is, you know, kind of pros and cons of different types of financing when we do the report.
Me, yeah, I mean, all the information that we can would be helpful. But if it, you know, if it taxes the y'all, the people who are doing it, that they, you know, that we've got so much to do, we'll address it at that point. But if you've got the time to do it, yeah, I think it's beneficial because it gives us an idea of where we really need to go. And but that's just my opinion. I don't know. How do you feel about them doing it? Does it matter to you?
Well, I mean, yeah, the money matters, but I don't think I want that kind of assessment at this level. You know, that's something that once we come up with a, you know, with the final approval, then the next step I think would be coming up with ways to finance, you know, maybe one or two of the projects and take those probably to finance committee, start there and go. But I think I'd like to see this cleaned up a little. And so you've assessed every building that we have.
Yes.
But so I guess at this time, I'm not ready to get into the
Sure.
financial,
Sure.
the nitty gritty on the finances. I think the first step is to come up with a clean assessment facility and, you know, outline the buildings that need to be addressed and our estimated cost. And then we take that to the board from this committee. And then after that, then I think it goes to finance. You know, all right, how do we finance it?
Okay.
You know. Does that sound reasonable, Jesse?
Yes, sir. I that's some type of direction. I think, you know, with the price tag on the top three, it's significant.
Yeah.
And I
Sure
think
it is.
what it outlines is that outside of some type of debt issuance, we're going to have to consider a swamp lands, you know, new building. It's because the cost is significant.
And,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and debt is coming down. I mean, I think the feds are getting ready to drop it again. So, you know, maybe it'll keep dropping.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But anyway, but don't be surprised if this committee asks you about finances. Although we won't make a decision on that, that has nothing to do with it. But I'll guarantee it'll be asked.
Okay.
And
Well, we'll update the assessment. We'll look at the safety aspect of it. A lot of the major safety aspects are probably already fixed, but we can look at that. We are also adding our non-occupied buildings in here, so we have some buildings that weren't in here because they're not non-occupied, but we're going to add those in here as well. So there will be more buildings when this comes as the final version. These are our occupied buildings. We have parks buildings that are unoccupied or bathrooms out at our parks that are unoccupied, but they'll be included in the assessment as well too. But this is the basic structure of it, and wanted to get at least some feedback. And I think the plan with determining maybe the top three, what that total cost is, and then go into finance committee after that when a clean version is. I think that's logical.
And look at alternatives for finance committee. Hey, we could purchase this building that's existing. You know, I just look for the best deal for the city.
good deal. Thank you very much for that. Any other discussion on the facilities assessment plan? Moving right along. We have the light synchronization program. How's that going?
It's more of the same. We're still waiting on the obligation, and now that FHWA is shut down, the federal government
Oh,
shut
yeah.
down, so it's held up there. So,
Okay.
Beyond our control.
yes. Yes, it is.
All right. Well, I sure do hate that, but that's just typical of that whole program. But I will say our traffic on Galvin roads, it's gotten a lot better, but it's still, we still have a lot of traffic, and that's just due to the growth that we have in town. And I think most people know that, but at our peak times, the traffic has been a lot better. So hopefully we'll continue on, and hopefully the federal government will open their doors, and we'll get back on schedule. So we'll just leave it at any discussion. Hearing none on the line, let's go to on our cemeteries for our verbal update for that.
Super. So, I think it's 2 months ago about this. So we have 6 unknown cemeteries in Hendersonville. 3 of them are pretty well maintained. One is really on a farm over on Chaparral Drive. One is in front of Mansker Farms, which you don't even notice because it's so well taken care of. There's one over almost where we have construction going on at Stop 30 and Drake's Creek Road, just up on a little bluff over there. That one's pretty well taken care of. The 3 that are the biggest concerns, one is Mansker Farms that is really sort of embedded in the woods right there.
And full of chiggers.
And full of chiggers. So somebody who has been over there and met a lot of those chiggers personally.
Eat me alive.
That's going to be a tough one. That's really going to be a lot of work still to do. Rotary went over there, did some work there. They also did some work on Delph Drive. Really cleaned that one up. That one is as clean as it can be. It just needs some maintenance. And I think that some folks at the Presbyterian Church are going to go take a look at it and see if it's something that they want to take on long term. Talked to some folks with Rotary several times and got very specific yesterday about the cemetery in Scottish Highlands.
Oh, yeah.
And that is probably about, I'd say it's half to 2/3 of an acre. The cemetery itself is not terribly large, but it's got a larger lot with the whole thing. So I set up a meeting with Jimmy Batten, whose wife is a descendant of some of the folks who live there, and Jimmy has been spending money to maintain that for a long time. So we've got a meeting set up with them a week from Wednesday. He's going to continue maintaining it through the end of the year. And then I'm also sending a letter. The Rotary members asked me to send a letter to the adjacent property owners just to let them know that they're interested in this, see if the property owners have any interest in helping out, as well as just to let them know, hey, when you see somebody in the backyard, that's picking up limbs or mowing the grass, don't be concerned. It's us. I'm also still communicating with Walmart about the one in Mansker Farms. It's going to be a big project. I am very clear with everybody. The city does not own that property. The city is not going to own that property. The city is not going to take on long midterm maintenance of the property. If somebody wants to set some tree limbs by the road from cleaning up, we will get out there, probably put a priority on picking those up. That's fine. The city is not going to allow anybody to be buried on those properties, nor do I think that we have the authority to allow anybody to be buried on those properties. What we're really looking for is sort of a community group or community groups that will act in the name of other people there.
Have we gotten any complaints from Mansker? I know that Jimmy has come to the committee and asked us about the one in Scottish Highlands, but has anybody in Mansker complained?
I think maybe once or twice in the past 9 years I've gotten a phone call about it. And it's not from the standpoint of you're providing a habitat for wild animals. It's from the standpoint of how come the city doesn't care about the folks who lived here years ago.
Well, I appreciate the approach you've taken. A lot of mayors, a lot of elected officials would have just added that to the cost of public works. Just go do it, but
I appreciate that.
you're thinking outside the box and trying to get civic organizations to adopt one of these cemeteries to try to. So
I appreciate that. By no means should I give you all the impression that what I'm doing right now is going to solve this problem for years to come. We could be right back here with some, still trying to solve this problem. But I'm gonna keep trying. I appreciate that.
All right. You don't really realize how many cemeteries Hendersonville has until you really start thinking, you go visit them, wow, you know, and how, a lot, and how important those are of a historical value, but not only to Hendersonville, but for Middle Tennessee, that people came here, that were had a result of the making of Nashville, and that kind of thing. So it's amazing to me when you really think about it.
I don't know who said it, but it said a cemetery is like a bookstore. Every time you stop, you can find something that has a story.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Well, I do, like Eddie said, I appreciate your efforts, and it doesn't. I think for the most part of Hendersonville, it doesn't go unnoticed on something like that. All right, thank you for doing that. Now we have one other thing before we go to other business, and that is the bridge on Saunders Ferry Road, and an update for that. I know we've talked about it several times, but if we can give an update on that about the paneling, the wood paneling that is there.
The railing.
Yeah, the railing for the, and so if we can get an update on that now, I sure would appreciate it.
Sure. So I can't remember the date now, I'm sorry.
No, that's all
But
right.
we put out a request for proposals for alteration of the
Mhm.
railings. We received one response, and I believe it was right around $270,000 to replace those railings.
And that would be to take the wood down and then put the wire in there. Is that, or the wire, the way the state does their wiring, is that correct? Or how was that?
The wood, most of the wood would remain. Some of the cross slats paneling would be
Right.
removed, and they would have to add in some stiffener poles, I believe. So they might add some poles, and then they would put the wiring through.
Okay.
But the wood framing would remain.
Okay, so we've got, all right, so we had one response on that, and that was those were the people that worked on it the first time.
Yes.
Okay. And it was 270 grand. Wow, that is a lot. Okay. Because I just do want to say this, that a lot of, and I know this doesn't affect most of Hendersonville, but it does affect the peninsula over there off of Walton Ferry and the Saunders Ferry Road, that when they drive that, they can no longer see the lake. And I know we know that we should be paying attention to the road, but you can still kind of look at the lake and see that. And I know that's missed a great deal, and we've had a lot of complaints about it. And but I was just curious is what an update, because we hadn't had one in a while. And I'm sorry Mr. Martin's not here tonight to hear that, because I know I'll have to talk to him and let him know what the status is on that. So if we do proceed, let's just say that we want to, that's a lot of money, but if we want to proceed with it, then we address it at budget time next year, our next budget okay, that's what we'll do. Okay, all right. Okay, if I have any other questions about it, I'll get in touch with you guys. Is there any discussion on this?
What's the normal replacement interval of that work anyway, that we would have to replace it because of age? Is it 10 years, 15 years?
I would
Hopefully
probably
20.
estimate 10 for the
Okay.
timber.
And we're into the second or third year now.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll get with Mike and see, because I know he represents some of that area as well as I do, and let him know and give him an update on that. But yeah, 270 grand, that's a lot. That is a lot of money. and I hate to spend enough of that, a lot of that for that section right there. That's an expensive project.
Yeah.
But we'll, I'll see what he wants to do about it, and I'll talk to I thought my colleague in Ward 1 was going to be here tonight, but probably with his work, he wasn't able to make it. But I'll talk to him as well on that.
I've got a item that's similar to that situation that was brought to my attention. If you could look at the traffic crossing of Spade Leaf Boulevard and Sanders Ferry Road, that is a neighborhood that many people walk across Sanders Ferry Road to get to the Greenway, and they say they've almost been hit several times, cars speeding. So if you would just look at, does the markings in the road justify at that point?
We have evaluated that. And we actually have a design, conceptual design to add a crosswalk there, and also a rectangular rapid flashing beacon.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and that was a project that I think has been submitted for a grant application, and I think that has also been held up in the shutdown. I believe that's correct.
Okay, well, good. You're already on it.
We are, yes, sir.
Excellent.
Is that in Mike's or is that in my ward? Do you know?
Sorry, I don't know.
I think it's Mike. My ward? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, just cross the line.
All right. It is just right across the line. Okay. Well, I'll have to pay attention to that. Because I did not know that. I thought that was Mike's. But I guess not.
A lot of people use that Greenway.
Yeah, they do.
do.
It's really nice.
Mhm.
It's a great addition to the city.
It is very nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Okay. Well, we'll let's draw back and punt and see what we can come up with for that. Okay. Under other business,
I've got two items.
and there's two items. Go ahead.
The first is give us an update on the traffic pattern for Drake's Creek this week with Halloween on Friday.
Mhm.
So I know that the utilities are trying to finish, Piedmont's trying to finish, so can you give us an update so that we can share with, Mark and I can share with our constituents?
Yeah, so Piedmont did submit a request to work until dark on Thursday and Friday. We did from 8:30 to dark. And so that would be a lane closure. That would be down to one lane. After initial discussions, we did follow back up with them with Halloween on Friday, and requested that they wrap up earlier. The work that they're doing, I mean, of course it's gas, so it's, it's kind of delicate work.
Yeah.
It's
Gotta be
dangerous
done.
work. And
And that's
so
on
once
Old Shackle, right?
No.
Drake's
I mean,
Creek.
Drake's Creek. I'm
So
sorry.
once they start certain things, they have to weld things back. It's a process. So they have provided a response saying that they will work to be complete by 3 p.m. on Friday, and they will start on Saturday morning again to finish that.
So they're gonna stop at 3:00 on
2:30.
Friday,
Was it 2:30?
Mm-hmm.
2:30 on Friday.
2:30?
Yeah, they'll stop because the normal working time right now is 8:30 to 2:30.
Okay.
Maybe 3.
And that's on Drake's Creek.
Well, we got to know exactly because we got to communicate this.
Construction.
Right.
We already have a bunch of families that are already in uproar over this.
So is it 2:30 or
It's
3?
2:30 is
2:30.
what they've said.
Friday. But Thursday, expect one lane.
8:30 till
Dark.
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 And what day is that?
I'm
Thursday.
giving y'all's
Thursday.
numbers out to them.
So I'll be getting the website updated with that. The website we've been encouraging those residents to use. I'll post it out there. We'll do the code red. I was going to ask Trace as well if we could get a message board out just to help,
Yep.
again, get the word out to those
Good.
people that don't know to check the website and look at things. So we'll use all the vehicles we have. I have an email pulled up in my office to email the principals first thing in the morning to just let them know as well for Friday. It won't affect the buses coming in the morning, but Thursday it would probably affect transportation in the afternoon. So we just
Would
want to
you
make sure they
blind
know.
copy me on that to
Absolutely.
the principals? So
Yeah, and whenever there's anything like that, especially that's affecting our wards, we need to be at least apprised of that. So I didn't even know anything went out to the principal or to.
Nothing has yet. It's
Well, it
me.
did. The mayor sent out something.
Oh.
At least that's what I got from Jeremy Johnson. Was talking about that, and so whenever we're sending anything out from the city, the aldermen in that ward need to be,
Yeah.
communicated to, because it caught us off guard. I didn't know anything about it, and I appreciate us going back and talking to Piedmont, because there's always going to be a negotiation. We can't just say, okay, that's the way it is, because if you've ever been out over on Drake's Creek and Durham Farms at Halloween, and I'll invite you over because it's nuts.
they come from Trousdale County.
We gave
Durham
out
Farms.
2,000 pieces of candy last year at our house,
Wow.
and we had to close up at 7 o'clock because we ran out of
Wow.
candy.
So Sarah, they gave us 48-hour notice. Is that in the contract? I mean, what kind of authority, and maybe Lance can help on this, what kind of authority do we have to regulate utility work in the right of ways on city streets?
We don't have, so for this particular work, and I think Lance has some additional context to add, but we don't have a contract with Piedmont specific to this work. But I think that there's a franchise agreement
We have-
with
We
Piedmont.
don't really have a contract other than the franchise agreement, which
Yeah.
didn't address any of this. It was more for the general purposes of the franchise. So there's nothing in that agreement speaking to times of work or anything like that.
So I know we had this situation addressed. I'm glad of that. But I maybe the staff and Lance needs to look, do we need a little more teeth, authority that, do they have to notify us, right? If they're gonna work on a right of way in a city street, the utility has to notify us?
Well, and this is not the first time either that this has happened. We've had another instance where they got out there and were closing down lanes prior to the agreed upon time.
Yep.
And we had to send people out there so I appreciate again what Public Works has done in going out there, but we've got to have something that
That's why,
everybody
that's right.
understands and agrees before we get into this.
That's right. That's why I'm bringing it up. I want a systematic a way to address this, so that staff has all the authority that you need, and a utility can't just go out and close down our streets,
Yeah, so we do have, the only ordinance I think that we have in place that I can think of would be our excavation ordinance, and that is something that, we have been reviewing. There's nothing that's happened that's outside of what's allowed currently. And then to further complicate it, so we don't have a contract with Piedmont, but TDOT. This is a TDOT local programs project, and all the utility relocations run through the TDOT utility office, and they do have agreements with the utility. And so the utility is subject to TDOT's requirements for notification, for lane closures, things like that. And 48 hours notice is fairly standard in construction for a lane closure.
So is the state preempted city authority on that? Preemption?
Even when it's a city road?
I don't know. It's Sarah sounds like it does. So that's why I'm asking.
I would think it would.
I would think it would too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I would defer to you, really. I don't know for sure.
especially when it's a state road or a state project, but even in a city road, I think a lot of that, I can research it and get you some specifics, but my gut tells me that there's preemption.
I would be interested in supporting a resolution that would, if it's needed, that would give us more authority on posting and also the final say on how to close road. I mean, I want the staff to have all the authority and not, if we call, the staff just says, well, they can do it.
Right.
I want us to be the masters of our own fate.
Sure.
To the extent possible.
To the extent possible.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Of course, we are.
What's that old cartoon that says, you want it when, and that the guy's laughing.
She'll update that.
Get it? I just over my head. You know what I'm over my head. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
'Cause that's
You
what
want
most-
to
It's
win?
funnier when you're seeing it.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
You gotta do that.
You're right. But anyway, all right. That's a very good questions on the situation. But I normally, when we have a long agenda, as you all well know, I normally just say no report, you know. But I will make an announcement on the trick or treater because that is important. It's our children. And
Oh, about
the time frame. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay with your
Yeah.
alderman from that time?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I've written it down 2:30, and that's at Drake Street, and it's with Piedmont Gas, where for them to leave. They're going to be leaving at 2:30 on Friday. On Thursday, they're going to leave at 8:30. So is that right?
No, Thursday it's 8:30. They work 8:30 a.m. until dark.
Oh, until dark. Okay, 8:30. That's right. Okay.
Maybe you could write down a little something.
I'll also let you know something else that's going on Friday,
Thank you.
Halloween. Both of the schools have Halloween parades, and parents are invited to come there for the parade. So it just adds more. I'm glad I'm gonna be out of town. I'll have them call you, Eddie.
What are the schools? And I'll remind it just the
It-
traffic.
Burris Elementary and Knoxdoss Middle School.
KD, yeah.
Are they having?
Burris and Knoxdoss. Isn't it? It's not. Knoxdoss. That's right. Never mind. I'm starting to show my age. And I'm not
Knoxdoss,
going
Drake
there.
Creek, KDDC.
Yeah. All right.
And then I've got one other item that I need Mark to help us on. And we're doing this because you need to know, Mr. Chairman, this is a public works issue.
Sure.
And this is some complaints that we've received from parents at Burris.
Okay.
And so, who wants to give the report on that?
Go right ahead.
There's a long line when they pick up their children in the afternoon,
Okay.
car rider line. You know, that's a new word. That wasn't in vogue when you and I went to school, Mark. We
Yeah.
rode the bus or walked.
That's a walk.
You know,
Yeah.
But
the walkers.
so there's a lot of stacking along Mustang Lane. Mustang Lane off of Drakes Creek is there by the field and by the hockey ring. So there's a long line so parents are wanting the city, they're wanting the school system. Mainly they're wanting the city to do something about it. So we met yesterday with the school system and we're working on trying to resolve that.
Okay.
At this time, there's nothing more to say, but I thought you needed to know as chairman of Public Works
Well, thank you.
that is an issue that's hot in Ward 6. And so
Okay.
we met yesterday at this, where was it? At the
Innovations.
Innovation Center.
Yeah.
And we met with the superintendent and with Jeremy, and there was a lot of cooperation. And so I'm hopeful that we can come up with some kind of solution. So that's just the FYI to
All
the
right.
chairman.
I'll, in fact, I appreciate you saying that, and I'll make sure for the record on TV and everything that you all are recognized for doing that.
Well, not yet.
Okay, do you want me to hold on?
I don't want any recognition yet. Let's wait and see if we can find a solution.
Okay, well, I'll put that.
We'll wait
in.
till January.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say a word about it then.
Yeah.
But no, I'm glad you told me that because we've got another issue over at Merrill Hyde sometimes. That the traffic over there is crazy. It's backed up sometimes it gets on the main road.
I didn't know this, but Superintendent Langford said that that's an issue at every elementary school across the whole county, that
Yeah.
there's a staging issue. It's a problem everywhere.
Yeah.
So
I would imagine.
it's not anything new there at Burris.
Yeah, it's just a miracle, really, that it was built the way that it was. But Walton Ferry, we never have that problem at Walton.
Yeah.
In my district, because it backs up, but it's got a long driveway.
Right.
And so maybe that's what the school board on their new school should do. I don't know. All right. Is there anything? I won't say anything about that. Is there any other business that needs to be addressed before this committee? Hearing none, I just need a motion.
So moved
All
to
right. and
adjourn.
Adjourn, second. 6